guys, welcome to the best books of August that I read. This month there's 6 books on the list. I had to check my little cheat sheet here. I do have a couple of them in like paper format, but most of them were ebooks. So that being said, I'll go ahead and start, and these are just in the order that I read them throughout the month of August. It was a fairly good month of reading for me. I think I read like 18 books. I do my monthly review, so you can check that if you're curious. And, 6 books out of that, that's a pretty good percentage of books I really liked. The first one I read that I really loved, I got for review, and that was The Escapement by Lavi Tidhar. And Lavi Tidhar, and I hope I'm saying that name right, is an author I read previously. He wrote the Bookman Histories. He's written a lot of other stuff, and the Bookman Histories was a very weird, steampunkish type of series. I really liked the first book in it. The second book was a little bit too abstract even for me. But The Escapement follows in that kind of a very weird theme. It seems to be about a father who is at the deathbed of his son in one reality, but in the other reality, he's like kind of a lone gunman / traveler who is traveling a world infested with clowns. The clowns are like the native species of the world. And he is going through and trying to complete this quest where he's trying to find, I believe it was a specific type of flower on this mountain that can cure anything. So in the real world, he's dealing with the death of his son. It is pretty abstract, so it's a little hard to figure out what's going on in the real world. But he constantly is falling through into this parallel reality where he is trying to complete this quest on this clown-infested land to find a universal cure for illness. So it's very... I really liked it because it was so different and so unexpected, and the imagery used in it was just so well done. I thought it was amazing. It is one of the most unique and most interesting books I have read this year, and I just absolutely adored it. I'm not a huge fan of clowns, but the way the whole thing was done was just really, really good. So I liked it a lot. I loved it. I probably will reread it at some point. It was so far out there and so unique and so intriguing. I just loved it. It was beautifully written. It is abstract. It is really, really weird. But if you're at all into something that's a little bit more different, a little out there, I would definitely recommend it. I think he's an excellent writer, and I'm always impressed with the quality of his books. So yeah, that was the first one I read, and I really loved it. It was a great way to start the month off. All right, the second one I read and I really liked will be no surprise to anybody, and that is Helsing Deluxe Volume 2. This is the second volume in the Helsing Deluxe series, and I believe, I'm going to have to look here, it collects chapters 28 through 61. You will notice there is a binder clip in here. This is probably the most violent of the Helsing, well, in relative terms. The third volume is a lot of war. I just finished it. It's a lot of war and fighting. And I've read all these in the normal format too. But this one does have a very violent sexual scene in it. So my son has been wanting to read these, and he's in his mid-teens. And I told him there is a rape scene in here, and he did not want to see it. So those pages are binder clipped together. We try to be pretty open about content and some of these things, and he's very open about like, okay, I'm interested in that or I'm not. And he's like, I don't want to see that. And I said, okay, I'll binder clip them together. So I did that. So you don't see those pages. I don't even know why they had to include that here. It wasn't super explicit, but you can definitely kind of tell what's going on. So again, I love this manga series. It's very good. I like how the whole Dracula history wraps into the storyline, and getting these in the deluxe editions is really fantastic because you get like the full larger format, not the smaller manga format that's usually published in the US. It's all in a leather-bound book. It has a ribbon to keep track of where you are. You can see my son's a little bit through. He's like halfway through right now. So yeah, if you're a big Helsing fan, these are really nice additions, and it's nice because there's only the 3 of these will be the whole Helsing series, so it's nice to have them all collected together like that. Really enjoyed that, and I'm happy I got it. All right, the next one I read is another one I got for review. I got a lot of good review books this month, and that is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. This book is set in San Francisco in the I'm going to get this wrong, I think it's the 1950s, and it's kind of a time frame where, well, it's about a girl whose parents were Chinese immigrants, and she is an American, but the Chinese are under suspicion for being communist sympathists, and there's stuff going on with their family around that. But it's also the time when gay, lesbian clubs, the GLBT crowd basically started being able to have clubs, and it kind of became more out in the open. So it's about a girl, I think she's 17, and she kind of finds out that maybe she thinks she's a lesbian. The other thing that goes through a lot in the book is about male-female impersonators, which was a big thing during that time too. So you hear a lot about, you know, different women who were impersonating men who got really famous, and like that was fine, but the whole GLBT crowd wasn't fine. And it's really interesting. So it's interesting to look at the history of San Francisco as a city, the history of like Chinese immigration, and the story of the main two girls in it is really good and engaging, and I really liked it. I thought it was just a very nice blend of all those elements. It kept me very interested and very engaged, and I feel like I learned a lot, and yeah, I really liked it. So Melinda Lowe has, like, I've been a big fan for her. I liked Huntress. I liked Ash a lot. I did not like the science fiction series she did. I think a lot of people didn't really like that much. So that was a bit of a miss for me, but in general, she's been a really solid author and has a very lyrical, beautiful writing style. She does a good job with description. She does a great job weaving all these like historical elements and personal elements into a really great story. So I really like Last Night at Telegraph Club, and I would recommend it. All right, another review book I got that I really enjoyed is Iron Widow by, I'm gonna murder this name, I'm sorry, Zhuan J. Zhao. And this one I did not give 5 stars. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. And the main reason I couldn't quite give it 5 stars is some of the dialogue between characters and some of the description stuff is a bit awkward. But the premise behind this novel is just awesome. The premise is that there's these alien creatures that are destroying humanity. It's kind of a Asian society, and the only way to combat them is to have people pilot these giant like mecha creatures. And in order to do that, the consciousness of the creature and the bodies are so big that they have male pilots, and the male pilots draw from the ki or the energy or the soul of the female pilot, who is their co-pilot, to operate these giant mecha monster animals. And oftentimes in the process of this, the women are killed. And so the male pilots go through a lot of women, but in the society, women are not valued very much, so it's fine. And it's about a girl who is basically getting sold into a concubine pilot position on one of these mecha gigantic monsters, whatever you want to call them, very Godzilla-esque type of thing. And it's about her, and like, I don't know, I don't want to give a lot away, but right in the beginning, she basically, her consciousness and her mental strength is so vast that she actually kills her male pilot when they go out for their first battle. And this leads to a whole bunch of events and questions around like, why was it set up this way? Are women really weaker than men? And the dynamics between her and this other, so they pair her with a pilot that is a known killer that they assume that he will just take care of her. But then there's a lot, it's a bit of a romance kind of thing, but the way the romance is dealt with too, there's a lot in the story, and I really liked all of it. But the way the romance is dealt with, I really liked. It's very unique, and I'm not going to say anything more than that. I liked the whole world. It's very cool. There's some really neat twists at the end. The action is very well done. The whole premise is a lot of fun. And so if you ever liked giant monster movies, I would definitely recommend this book. But that, just saying that, it like short sells it a lot. There's a lot more going on here, and I really liked it a lot. I just was a little bit disappointed. There's obviously some language and translation issues, like some of the dialogue is just off. But I was definitely able to get past that and really enjoy it. So I gave 4 out of 5 stars, 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I definitely plan on continuing with the series. All right, 2 more to talk about. The next one I'm going to talk about was another one I got for review, and that was Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I am becoming a huge Klune fan. Under the Whispering Door was fantastic. It's a little bit different, a little slower paced, but I really loved it. It's basically about a high-powered lawyer guy who suddenly dies, and he finds himself being shepherded by this girl to a tea shop where he meets his Reaper, who is supposed to help him cross over, but in the process of all that, a whole bunch of stuff happens. And that's all I'll say about that. But it's very much, I don't know if, it's different than The House in the Cerulean Sea, but it's got a similar vibe. It's very like cozy and comforting. And there's a lot about dealing with humanity and what it means to be alive and all this kind of thing. So I really liked it. It was a great read. It's very different from the other series I'm reading from him is the Tales of Verania series, which is kind of a very crass but hilarious like GLBT fantasy like dragon fighting series. And I really enjoy that too. But both The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door are very different from those, and a lot of people describe them as like cozy, comfy blankets, and they very much are. I really liked Under the Whispering Door. It's different, but very good, and I liked it a lot. And he's definitely becoming one of my favorite authors, and I will continue to pick books up from him. So, yeah, more power to him. And then the last book I read is kind of different from all of these, and I did start a couple new graphic novel series in August. Die, which is one about some people who get sent back into like a fantasy world role-playing game thing, and I like that one. I didn't love it. I only read one volume of so far. I plan on continuing it, but the one that I really, really, really loved, was really kind of a standout for me, is Gideon Falls, Volume 1, The Black Barn. This, in tone, reminds me a lot of the Lock and Key series, which I really, really loved. And this is by Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrento, and Dave Stewart. Weird. This is a weird one. It's definitely got more of like the supernatural horror vibe going on. It's got this very like dark, sketchy tone for the art style. But that being said, I was impressed by not only the story, but how thoughtful the layout of the panels were. Like the one I showed you is just an example about that. But there's a number of panels where they lay things out in a very interesting way that like flows with the story very well. So this is one of those graphic novels that I feel like a lot of thought went into crafting it. And so artistically, it's very interesting, as well as having an interesting supernatural story. And the premise of the story is these two guys are obsessed with this black barn that's not always there. Obviously, really bad things have happened in this barn, and it influences people in a very bad way. It feels like it has a little bit of that Lovecraftian type of madness seeping into normal humans' life kind of theme to it, but I haven't, of course, gotten far enough into it. There are 6 volumes in the series. I did buy volume 2. I thought I bought volume 2, but I accidentally bought volume 5. But then I went back and bought volume 2 because I don't know what happened. Anyways, I really liked it. And if you at all like these weird, like horror, supernatural graphic novels, this is a really good one. And it's not even just a good story, just artistically, the way the whole thing is put together is really intriguing and really well done. You could tell a lot of thought went into it, and there's a lot going on. So yeah, really, really loved it. I mean, just like, there's another panel where it's just like, just by looking at it, you don't even know really what's going on. But there's a lot with how they lay it on that adds to the story. So that's a lot of me talking. But those are the 6 books that I gave. Well, I didn't give Iron Widow 5 stars, but it definitely deserves to be on the list. 6 books that I really loved in August. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope if you have any books that you really loved, you'll share them down below. I feel like I can't even say this. I try to post Wednesdays every try to post videos every Wednesday and Saturday, but I haven't done it for like the last month or two because I've been very busy with a lot of different things. So I'm trying to get back into it. Anyways, if you're interested, subscribe. If not, then, stop watching, whatever. I hope you guys got some great books that you read this month, and I hope that you'll share them with me below, and I hope you enjoy these posts, and I will talk to you later. Bye.